separation anxiety and how it affects you and your baby. So to start, what is separation anxiety? Separation anxiety is a normal emotional stage of development that starts when babies begin to understand that things exist and people exist even when they are not present. So for example, they realize that you now exist even if you're not around, even if you left the house. So separation anxiety is when a baby just feels depressed or upset because you're not around. They think that you abandoned them or that you left them, and they do not understand why. So the first question is, do all babies experience separation anxiety? And they actually do, for the most part. It really depends, like the amount of separation anxiety that they experience really depends on how often they are around you. So whether you're a full-time mom, full-time worker or a stay-at-home mom, or whether your husband is home during the day or during half the day and you're home half the day or whatever, it just really depends on how much time you're spending with your baby. And that will determine how much separation anxiety they experience when you leave them. So another question is, at what age do babies begin to experience separation anxiety? And they begin around 6 months, and it lasts, like the prominent part time lasts about till 10 months, so between 6 and 10 months. The reason why they start experiencing it at 6 months and not before is because when they are newborn, they understand that you're there, they can sense your presence, they love you, all that kind of stuff, but they don't understand, like if you were to leave, they don't understand, oh, my mommy left me and why did she leave me? I want my mom back. Like, they don't understand like that, they don't think like that. And they are sleeping most of the time anyways. So they're not really all there when it comes to their emotions and things like that. So around 6 months, they really begin to understand, when you're around, you're there, and that you're their mom. And then as soon as you leave, they're like, why did she leave me? And that's the most important time, I guess, for your baby to have you around, because that's when they can feel the separation anxiety the strongest, between the 6 and 10 months. So how can you help your baby through it? Well, there's a bunch of ways. The first way is, I would recommend leaving your baby with someone that they're familiar with. If you are to go out shopping, or if you're to go, hang out with your girlfriends or something, you don't want to leave your baby with a random babysitter that you've never met before or that you've only seen once or twice and just leave the house, because that will make separation anxiety so much worse for your baby, because not only did you leave them, you're now leaving them with a stranger who they're not comfortable with. So you would want to leave your baby with someone you're familiar with, such as grandparents, siblings, like your siblings, aunts, uncles, anything like that. Someone, or even good friends, but someone that they're so comfortable with that if you were to leave, they could still have a good time, still be happy, and still know that the person that they're with loves them and that they love. And that will help, I guess, eliminate or reduce the separation anxiety that they are feeling. So how should you prepare your baby for separation? The first thing you want to do is, if you are to leave the house and you're leaving your baby with someone, the first thing you want to do is look them in the eyes, and first thing you want to do is tell them you love them. Now, babies do not understand what you're talking about, but they can sense in your facial expressions and your emotions how you feel, and it really does help with the situation. And it's been proven through so many studies that by telling your baby where you're going and all that kind of stuff and talking to them, they really do understand a portion of it. So, like I said, first thing you do is you want to look at your baby and say, I love you. The next thing you want to do is tell them where you're going. So, I'm going to the mall. And then tell them how long you're going for. So 2 hours, 4 hours, 1 hour, half an hour, it doesn't matter. Just tell them how long you'll be. And then again, tell them that you love them and you'll be right back to see them. And tell them who you're leaving them with. So I'm going to leave you with Grandma or whatever. And then as you leave, you say goodbye. And then you leave. The most important part after you say all that to them is that you don't leave and then come back, because that confuses them even more. And then that makes them be like, wait, is she coming? Is she staying? And then they start to not trust and they get confused. So the important thing is you want to tell them where you're going and say all that stuff to them. And then you look at them, you kiss them, hug them, whatever, and tell them that you'll be right back in an hour or two. And then you wave to them and you leave and end it there. You don't want to drag on that goodbye moment, because that really stresses them out. It really hurts them, and it's going to just make it so much worse for them. And I can promise you that. So what you want to do is you just want to cut it off, say bye, kiss them, whatever, and then you leave and you do not come back. I would come back so many times when I first started this, trying to work out the separation anxiety thing, and I would be like, okay, bye, John, and I would leave, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I missed him, and I'd come back and kiss him, and be like, okay, I'll be right back. I honestly came back 20 times, back and forth, and I just couldn't leave him, and I really noticed that it really tugged at my heartstrings. It really, made me feel worse for leaving him the longer I took to leave, and it also made him feel, I guess like I was dragging out the moment and made him feel like, why is she leaving me? And I made him think about it more too, the whole goodbye process. So honestly, cut it short, say goodbye, tell me you love him, and then leave, and do not come back. Dragging it on, like I said, really just, it makes them, they feel so deeply, and it makes them feel like you're not coming back because you're dragging it out so long. So just leave, and then they will forget about it shortly, especially if they're with someone who they love and they trust, and they can have fun with that person, play with that person, take their mind off of you. Everything will be okay. So also, how should you handle nighttime separation anxiety? I experienced this, and I'm pretty sure most women do. When you're used to sleeping with your baby, and then all of a sudden you give them their own room, or even their own crib. If you're used to sharing a bed with them and they get their own crib, even if it's in your room, or if you're used to, sleeping in the same room with them and then they have their own room, you and the baby can experience so much separation anxiety, and it can really, I know, like when John used to sleep in my room, we never really shared a bed because he's a crazy sleeper, and so is my husband and I, and it's just none of us would have room. Like, I'd wake up and I'd be sleeping on his arm, and I feel so scared that it's gonna go numb or something, and I didn't know, so we stopped sleeping with him. Once in a while we would have family nights where we would sleep together, but most of the time he was just right beside our bed, almost touching our bed, in his own bassinet though. So I think at around I think it was around 6 months, we moved into this new house, and he finally, before we were in an apartment, so there was no room for him to have his own room anyways. But now that we came to this house, we have a lot of bedrooms, so we gave him his own room, and I was like, okay, maybe it's time for him to start sleeping in his crib now and all that stuff, because he was getting too big for the bassinet anyways, and he wasn't sleeping properly at night. So we're like, just give him his own bed, he'll have his crib, and hopefully he'll sleep better. The first week was so rough. Like, I cried and cried, and I was like, I couldn't sleep at night. I would just lie in bed and I'd be thinking about him, and I'd keep sneaking into his room and looking at him and watching him sleep. I could not sleep without him, and I noticed it was the same for him. When we transferred him to his room, it didn't last as long for him though as it did for me, which really broke my heart. But we moved him to his own room. For the first, I can say 2-3 nights, he really cried, and he wasn't angry, like screaming, crying. It was just more like he missed us. Like, you heard like a whining, and it took him a longer time to fall asleep. He woke up a couple times that night. He got on track, but it took a long time. So at least for me, and a little bit for him. So anyways, how do you handle the nighttime separation anxiety? Well, the first thing you can do is do it gradually. Instead of just chucking your baby to his own crib at night, one night when you decide you don't want to sleep with him anymore, what you could do is take your baby and for naps, start putting them in his own room, in the crib. Don't let him sleep in his normal bassinet where he sleeps with you or on your bed. Just put him in his own crib and start out with that. And then maybe start out by having your baby, start sleeping in your arms at night and kind of start rocking them to sleep, and then transfer them to the crib rather than just putting them in the crib right away. That will kind of get them, starting adjusting. They're a little bit with you, and then it's time to go on their own. And work your way gradually until you feel like your baby and you are both ready to have your own room. Then you can just, that night, just put your baby directly into his crib. I hope that makes sense to you. So just do a gradual process, and do not feel like you need to rush into just giving your baby their own room and all that kind of stuff. Take your time. Babies for even up to at least a year is so healthy to sleep with you anyways. It's so good for them to be bonding with their parents throughout the night. It's not bad at all. So don't feel like, oh, I really feel like I shouldn't be keeping my baby with me this much. I feel like I'm spoiling him or something. Don't think that way. It is so good for baby to sleep with you. So the longer you can push off giving him his own room, the better. And I would do it if I were you. I would keep your baby with me. I would. It's just there was no room. He couldn't fit in his bassinet. He really needed a bigger bed. I didn't have an option. So he has his own room now. But if you can hold on and keep your baby with you as long as possible, at least to get past that 10-month mark where they really experience separation anxiety the most, that'll be perfect. Okay, so finally, what if nothing seems to work? If nothing seems to work, do not panic, do not get stressed. The thing is this is, like I said, a normal emotional developmental stage for your baby at this time. When they're experiencing separation anxiety, it's because they love you, and it's because they trust you, and you're their whole world, and all of a sudden, if you're taking that away from them by giving them their own room, or by leaving them with strangers too long, then, and going out and they miss you, that's all right. It's just they're a baby, they don't understand, and they want to be with you. So what you can do, start with 20-minute periods, or 50-minute periods is even better. Get your baby used to being without you for at least that long. Then after that, go on to longer periods, such as 20 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, etc. Another thing is you maybe want to reevaluate your sitter situation. Are you leaving with a stranger? Because if so, then leave them with someone that they trust, like I said already. Also, reevaluate your goodbye pattern. If you are dragging out the goodbyes, like I have already said, that is making your baby seem like leaving him is a big deal, and then it'll get him more stressed. So if you just say something like, okay, see you later, I gotta go, and hug him or kiss him and leave, he'll be like, okay, it wasn't that big of a deal, and it will honestly do wonders for your baby. He will get over it so much quicker. So try that. If you're dragging out your goodbyes, or if you're sneaking out without saying bye to him so he doesn't notice that you left, that is even worse, because all of a sudden you're just gone. He's like, she didn't say bye to me, she just vanished. That is so much worse. So do not just run out so your baby doesn't notice. Or if your baby's crying while you're leaving, don't just slowly leave and leave until you're out the door. Stay there, help him stop crying, calm him down, and then just say, all right, see you later, and then leave. There's a few things you can do. And yeah, like I said, just reevaluate your goodbye pattern. Look at who's watching your baby, who you're leaving your baby with. Maybe that person isn't a good fit for your baby, and you might just want to leave him with someone else. And like, you don't want to, you want to get your baby trained to be without you, because you don't want your baby to just be used to being with you all the time. That's just not healthy for you, and it's not really good for the baby either, because it'll get them, it won't let them be, you know, used to other people. So you really want to get your baby out there. So even if your baby is crying, it might be hard for the first few times, but they will get over it. And then everything will be okay. And you know what, like my baby John, since he was like 2 weeks old or something, I started leaving him on his own, because I really wanted him to be able to be with other people and not have to have me with him all the time. So it was actually, I gave birth to him like 2 weeks before my birthday. So it was, after I had him, it was around my birthday, I think a week and a half old. He was really little, and I wanted to go out with some friends to a bar in Niagara Falls. And then I wanted to go out to the casino after with my husband. So we left John with my parents. That was the first time I think we left him alone, and I started feeling a little bit better. I was able to walk and stuff. I wasn't so sore and all that. So we left John with my parents and my little sisters, and we all went out to Niagara Falls. And I was dying without him. Like, every 5 seconds I kept texting and thinking about him, and I went home to him like so quick, like as soon as I could. And like, it really kind of like not ruined my night, but it really took, like, I wasn't in the moment with my friends and family. Like, I was just constantly thinking about John the whole time. I was like, I need to be with my baby. But it was the first time I left him. I think 5 or 6 times after that I left him, it really hurt me and was really hard for me. Then after that, I started getting easier and easier. And now when I leave him, it still is hard for me, and I still want to be with him, and I miss him, and I can't wait to get back to him. But it's a lot easier to leave him now. And same with him, because I started him at such a young age, being alone all the time. Well, not alone, but like being without me at least. He really is so good now. Like, I leave him with someone, even if he doesn't know them that well, and I just say bye and I leave, and he's totally okay. He doesn't cry. When I come back, he misses me. You know, he hugs me, kisses me, all that stuff. But it's so much better. And I leave him with a lot of family members who don't see him much at all, actually hardly ever, and he's okay with it. So just work on it. If nothing seems to work, then just maybe start leaving him leaving him alone shorter periods, and, you know, make your goodbyes a little bit different, a little shorter, a little quicker, a little more easy and happy, so he thinks that's not a big deal. That's all I have for you guys on separation anxiety, and I hope you found this video extremely helpful and informative. If so, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe below, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye!